The night sky over Earth looked peaceful, but hidden behind the calm stars, danger was coming. It started with a strange sound on every screen, every radio, every device on the planet. A deep, metallic voice spoke in a language no human knew. Yet, somehow every person understood the meaning. The words carried across languages, across nations, straight into the human mind. "This is the Galactic Council," the voice declared, cold and sharp. "Your world has been judged unworthy. Surrender and kneel or be erased from existence." People froze. Families stared at their screens. Soldiers stopped their drills. Even children dropped their toys. The entire planet listened in silence. The Council's message was not short. They showed images of other planets, burning ruins floating in space, cities crushed into dust, oceans boiled into steam. The message was simple. 7 days, Earth, bow before us, or join the ash of those who refused. In a dark control room in Washington, world leaders gathered. Similar meetings were happening in Moscow, Beijing, London, and other capitals. But this was no ordinary threat. It was not war between countries. It was war between Earth and the stars. President Harris, an older man with tired eyes, whispered, "Is this real?" A general replied, "Sir, the transmission came from deep space, not any human source. It's real." The fear was heavy. Some leaders wanted to surrender. "We cannot fight them," said a European minister. "They destroyed whole planets. How can Earth resist?" Others grew angry. "If we kneel now, humanity will live as slaves," said a commander. "Better to die fighting." The debate grew louder. Everyone spoke at once, but fear ruled the air. Far away, in a military bunker beneath Colorado mountains, Admiral James Carter stood watching the transmission again. His jaw tightened. "So they think Earth will bend," he muttered. "They don't know humans." On the streets of Tokyo, people gathered around giant screens. Some cried, others shouted in anger. In Africa, families prayed under the night sky. In Europe, bells rang as people rushed to churches. In South America, young men and women lined up, demanding to fight. The threat united the planet in fear, but also in something else, something hidden deep inside the human heart. Defiance. In the council chamber, light years away, alien leaders laughed. The council's leader, a creature with glowing scales, spoke with arrogance. "The humans will kneel like the rest, they always do. Primitive species cannot resist." But one younger alien, smaller than the rest, asked carefully, "What if they refuse?" The chamber burst with laughter. "Refuse? They have no fleets, no empire, no power. They will be nothing but smoke in the void." Back on Earth, scientists tried to trace the alien fleet. Satellites showed faint movements near the edge of the solar system. Something was coming closer, something huge. The news spread across the world. "Alien warships approaching," the headlines screamed. People panicked. Some fled cities, others stocked supplies, but many stood firm, waiting. On the 6th day, the council sent a second message. This time it was crueler. They broadcast footage of an alien world that resisted. Billions of lives turned to dust in seconds. "This will be you humans unless you kneel," the cold voice warned. But something unexpected happened. Instead of breaking humanity's spirit, the threat sparked rage. Crowds filled streets across the world, shouting together, "We will not bow." In the Colorado bunker, Admiral Carter slammed his fist on the table. "Enough," he growled. "It's time to answer." President Harris stood before the cameras, the world watching. His voice was steady, his hands tight on the podium. "People of Earth," he said, "today we face not another nation but the stars themselves. They demand our surrender, they promise our destruction. But we are not broken. We are human, and we will fight." The world held its breath. Then cheers erupted across cities, towns, and villages. Humanity had spoken in the council chamber far away. The alien leaders received Earth's reply. They expected fear. Instead, they heard the words, "Earth does not surrender. Earth will fight." The chamber fell silent. The leader's smile faded. "Then we will burn them," he hissed. But deep inside the void, closer to Earth than anyone, realized shadows of human warships began to stir. Old fleets hidden, projects long kept secret, engines hummed to life. Humanity was ready. Humanity would not kneel. And as the seventh day dawned, the first alien warship crossed into the edge of the solar system. Its shadow stretched across the stars. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The Council's threat had shaken Earth, but now came the hardest part, deciding how to respond. In a secure bunker deep beneath Geneva, the United Nations Emergency Council gathered. The room was filled with presidents, generals, scientists, and ministers. Their faces were pale, their voices heavy. They all knew the truth. The choice they made today could decide if humanity lived or died. President Harris sat at the head of the table, his voice calm but strained. "We have 7 days, 6 now. They demand surrender," he said. "We must choose." The French minister spoke first, her voice sharp. "We cannot resist them, their power is too great. Did you not see the worlds they burned?" She pointed to the hologram showing the destruction of alien planets. "If we resist, Earth will become the same." A Russian general slammed his fist on the table. "Better to burn fighting than to live on our knees. Humanity has never surrendered to tyranny. Why should we start now?" The room filled with noise. Leaders shouted over one another. Some cried for peace, others demanded war. Some argued that humanity was too weak. Some whispered about secret weapons. Admiral James Carter stood silently in the corner, his arms crossed. He had fought many battles, but never one like this. When the voices grew too loud, he finally spoke. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "The Council thinks we are weak," he said. "They see only a divided world. They don't know what we have built in the shadows. They don't know humanity's heart." The room went silent, eyes turned to him. For a moment, hope flickered. Meanwhile, outside the halls of power, the debate echoed across the world. On news channels, talk shows, and public squares, billions argued. Some shouted, "Peace at any cost." Others cried, "Fight, fight for Earth." In the streets of Mumbai, a boy held a sign that read, "We will not kneel." In Paris, a crowd gathered around a burning effigy of the Council's crest. In New York, students filled the streets chanting, "Humanity first, humanity forever." But not everyone agreed. In small villages, old men begged for peace. In cities, mothers cried, "We have children. We cannot risk them." The world was divided, and the clock kept ticking. The Council's second broadcast arrived on the 4th day. Their voice filled the skies again. "Humans," the cold metallic voice said, "your time grows short. Surrender now, or your cities will burn. We will make your oceans boil, your skies black with fire. Bow and live as servants. Resist and die as ashes." They showed again the burning worlds, the broken cities. The fear deepened. Even the strongest hearts trembled. But when the Council ended their message, something unexpected happened. Instead of silence, the world erupted with rage. Crowds filled the streets. Voices joined in anger. "We are not afraid," they cried. "We will fight." In the Geneva bunker, President Harris listened, his face hardened. He looked at Admiral Carter. "What if we fight and fail?" he asked. Carter stepped forward. "Then we die as humans, not slaves." A long silence followed. Then the German Chancellor stood. "History will remember this moment," she said. "If we kneel, our children will never forgive us. If we fight, at least they will know we had courage." One by one, the leaders began to stand, some still shook with fear, but the tide was turning. Humanity's spirit was rising. Finally, President Harris stood again. "Then it is decided," he said firmly. "We will not surrender. We will prepare for war." The room filled with a heavy silence, but beneath it burned something new. Resolve. Across Earth, secret bases activated. Submarines hidden in the oceans rose toward the surface. Satellites in orbit shifted into strange formations. Old projects locked away for decades were brought back to life. Humanity was waking its hidden strength. On the 5th day, a single human broadcast went out to the stars. The message was simple. A woman's voice, calm and proud, spoke the words, "To the Galactic Council, Earth has heard your threat. Earth has seen your fire. But Earth does not kneel. We stand and we fight. The message echoed across the planet. Cheers erupting in streets, fireworks bursting in skies. For the first time in history, humanity was truly united. Not by borders, not by flags, but by survival. In the Council's chamber light years away, alien leaders listened. Their laughter faded, their eyes narrowed. They refuse, one hissed, foolish creatures. But the young alien who had once asked, "What if they resist?" now spoke again, his voice uneasy. "Perhaps they are not like the others, perhaps we should be cautious." The council leader slammed his claw on the table. "No," he snarled, "they will be crushed. The humans will learn what happens to those who defy the council." And so, as Earth prepared for war, the council prepared for destruction. Two paths were set, and the stars waited for the clash to come. The sixth day had arrived, and the council's warships were now inside the solar system. They were still far from Earth, but their presence filled the skies with fear. Massive shadows drifted across the black void, moving closer and closer. On Earth, humanity had only one choice left. The leaders had debated, the people had shouted, the council had threatened. Now the answer had to be given. The world was waiting. In a massive underground command center in Washington, cameras, screens, and satellites glowed. Leaders sat at a long table, soldiers stood ready, and engineers watched the countdown to the council's final deadline. President Harris walked to the podium. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with determination. Billions of humans watched through screens across cities, villages, schools, and ships. Families held each other tight. Soldiers stood at attention. Children clutched flags. The world was silent, waiting for one voice. Harris spoke slowly, his words heavy like iron. "People of Earth, 6 days ago we were given a choice, kneel or die." His voice grew stronger. "But we are humans. We do not kneel, we do not surrender. We fight." His words echoed through every device, through every heart. The silence of fear broke into a storm of cheers. People in the streets raised their fists. Armies saluted. And bow. Even those who once begged for peace now shouted with pride. But Harris was not finished. His voice grew louder, carrying across the world. "To the Galactic Council, hear us now. This is Earth's reply. We will not bow. We will not be erased. If you bring war to our home, we bring battle to the stars. Today, humanity declares war." The words flashed across every screen. Declaration of battle. In Moscow, church bells rang. In Beijing, fireworks burst across the sky. In Africa, warriors beat their drums. In South America, crowds filled stadiums. The world had spoken as one. Admiral James Carter stood behind the president. His lips curved into a grim smile. "They will regret underestimating us," he whispered. As soon as the speech ended, hidden commands were sent across the oceans. Massive doors opened beneath the waves. Submarines surfaced, but they were not carrying normal weapons. Instead, towering machines rose from the water. Warships hidden for decades. Projects the world had once called impossible now revealed themselves in orbit. Satellites blinked to life, shifting positions. They were not only for communication, they carried railguns, laser cannons, and shields made from strange alloys. Humanity had been preparing in silence. Far away, in the void, the council's commanders laughed at Earth's declaration. "War?" One of them hissed. "These primitives think they can fight the council?" Another sneered. "It will be over in a day. They are ants against fire." But one alien, a scarred veteran, frowned. "Do not laugh too soon. I have seen resistance. Before these humans may surprise us." His warning was ignored. On the 7th day, the first council fleet entered orbit near Neptune. Their ships were sleek, massive, and glowing with alien energy. They sent a single message across space. "Your time is over, Earth." But Earth answered instantly. Admiral Carter's voice boomed from the command channel. "This is Admiral James Carter of the United Earth Fleet. You crossed into our system. You threaten our world, now you face battle. Humanity does not kneel." The council laughed again. But before they could finish, something happened. A human warship uncloaked near Mars. It was old, built in secret, but powerful. It opened fire. A beam of pure energy shot through the void. The Council ship shook. Its shields flared and for the first time, the Council realized Earth was not defenseless. Humanity's declaration of war was not just words. It was action. Back on Earth, people watched live feeds of the first clash. Gasps filled rooms, then cheers erupted when the alien ship staggered. For the first time, the Council had felt human. Fire. President Harris turned to his generals. "Send the signal," he ordered. Across Earth, fleets began to rise. From oceans, deserts, mountains, and hidden hangars, ships lifted into the sky. Engines roared, leaving trails of fire behind them. Humanity was rising to meet the invaders. The Council's leader, sitting in the grand chamber light years away, finally stopped smiling. His scales flickered with anger. "So the humans dare," he hissed. "Then let them burn." But on Earth, hope burned brighter than fear. Humanity had declared battle. Humanity had fired the first shot. The war for survival had officially begun. The first alien warships had crossed into the solar system. Their dark hulls glowed with strange energy, towering over anything humanity had ever built. To the Galactic Council, this was supposed to be a simple show of force, one strike to crush Earth's spirit. But humanity had already declared war. There would be no retreat, no begging, no surrender. Near Mars, Admiral James Carter stood on the command deck of the USS Valiant, his eyes fixed on the stars. "The Council thinks we are weak," he said softly. "Let's prove them wrong." The fleet around him was small compared to the alien armada. Just 12 warships, some old, some experimental, but every crewman aboard knew they carried the hopes of billions. The Council's lead ship, a massive dreadnought shaped like a blade, opened a channel. Its commander sneered, "Humans, your little declaration was amusing. Kneel now, and maybe we will spare your cities," Carter replied with a cold smile. "We don't kneel." Then he gave the order, "Fire." The void exploded with light. Railguns spat glowing slugs. Plasma beams roared. Missiles streaked through the black. The first human strike hit the alien dreadnought. Its shields flared, bright blue absorbing the energy. But cracks appeared. The aliens were stunned. They had expected no resistance, but now their ship shook under human fire. Primitive weapons. The alien commander hissed, "Crush them." Dozens of alien ships unleashed their own barrage, beams of energy slicing through space. One human destroyer, Horizon, took a direct hit. The ship shattered into burning pieces. Silence filled Carter's bridge as hundreds of human lives were lost in an instant. But instead of retreat, the humans fought harder. The crew shouted with rage, "For Horizon!" They pushed forward, dodging beams with risky maneuvers no alien would dare attempt. Humans turned desperation into a weapon. Then came the trick. Carter's eyes glinted. "Now," he ordered. The Valiant released a swarm of drones. Not heavy weapons, but decoys. They spread out, emitting false signals. The alien dreadnought locked onto the fake targets and unleashed a massive blast. But the drones scattered, and the beam hit nothing. In that moment, 3 human frigates dove beneath the dreadnought's belly, a blind spot the aliens never thought to protect. They fired railguns at close range. The slugs tore through weakened shields, ripping into the alien hull. The dreadnought shuddered, explosions ripping across its body. For the first time in centuries, a Council battleship was dying on Earth. Billions watched the live feed. Gasps turned into cheers. Crowds shouted in every city, "We can fight! We can win!" The alien commander screamed in disbelief. "Impossible! They are nothing but primitives." But his words were lost as his ship broke apart, flames consuming it. Admiral Carter stood firm, his jaw set. "That's one," he said. "But there are hundreds more." The battle raged on. Alien ships outnumbered the humans, but human tactics were strange, unpredictable. Humans used asteroids as shields, slingshot around planets, even lured alien beams into hitting their own allies. Every move was reckless, but every move worked. One Council cruiser tried to flank the humans, but Carter had seen it coming. He ordered the Valiant to drift dead in space. Pretending to be crippled, The alien cruiser closed in for the kill, but the Valiant suddenly roared back to life, unleashing every weapon at once. The alien ship exploded in brilliant fire. The Council fleet began to hesitate. "They are insane," one alien officer shouted. "They fight like animals, unpredictable, dangerous." But the numbers were still against Earth. Another human destroyer was lost, torn apart by enemy fire. Human casualties grew. Yet every time a ship fell, the rest fought harder. Fury carried them forward. In the command chamber of the Council far away, leaders watched the battle in shock. "One of our dreadnoughts destroyed," a voice whispered. "By humans." The leader's scales flickered with rage. "Send reinforcements. Burn them all," he ordered. Back near Mars, Carter received reports. "More alien fleets incoming, at least 50 ships," his officer said. The admiral exhaled slowly. "So, this is how it begins." On Earth, President Harris addressed the people again. His voice echoed across the globe. "The Council came to destroy us. They thought we would kneel. Instead, we have drawn blood. Humanity stands, humanity fights." Crowds roared in unity. Fear had not vanished, but hope now burned brighter as the first clash ended. The wreck of the alien dreadnought drifted through space, silent and broken. Humanity had struck a blow no one thought possible. But in the distance, more shadows were coming. Bigger fleets, stronger weapons. The war was only beginning. Admiral Carter looked out at the stars, his voice low but fierce. "They wanted war," he said. "Now they'll see how humans fight." The wreckage of the alien dreadnought still drifted near Mars, pieces glowing like dying embers in the void. For the first time, the Galactic Council had tasted defeat, and for the first time, humanity believed survival was possible. But Admiral James Carter knew this was only the beginning. The enemy had more fleets, more firepower, and centuries of conquest behind them. Humanity had only one chance: to strike back before the Council gathered its full strength. On the ocean floor of the Pacific, something enormous stirred. For decades, governments had kept it secret. Engineers had whispered of it like a myth. Scientists called it impossible. But now the order came. Awaken, Leviathan. Massive steel doors opened beneath the waves. The sea boiled as a shape larger than any ship in human history began to rise. Water cascaded from its armored hull. Lights flickered to life across its surface. It was not just a warship. It was a super dreadnought, a moving fortress, humanity's greatest secret. Crowds along the coasts gasped as the colossal shadow broke the surface. Helicopters circled. Cameras streamed across the globe. Children pointed in awe. Soldiers saluted. The world had seen fear, but now it saw power. The ship's name was revealed. On its side, USS Leviathan. Its guns were longer than skyscrapers. Its hull forged from metals never used before. Energy reactors pulsed inside like the heart of a beast. From orbit, the Council ships scanned the ocean. They hissed in confusion. "What is that? How did the humans build such a thing?" Admiral Carter stood on the Leviathan's bridge, his hands gripping the railing. "This ship was never meant to be shown. But if we are to survive, the world must see it. The Council must fear it." The Leviathan was not alone. From deserts and hidden valleys, more ships rose. Earth's secret projects were waking. Orbital cannons disguised as satellites, railgun platforms hidden beneath mountains, stealth bombers built for wars that never came. Now they had a purpose. In orbit, the alien fleet reorganized, confident their numbers would overwhelm Earth. They prepared to strike at the planet itself. But Earth struck first. The Leviathan opened fire. A single rail slug tore across the void. It hit an alien cruiser, splitting it in half with one shot. The Council fleet staggered. "Impossible!" they shouted. Human fighters swarmed from carriers, darting between alien beams. Their movements were reckless, chaotic, but deadly. They dropped mines disguised as debris, tricking alien sensors. They lured ships into asteroid fields, where human missiles detonated rocks into deadly storms. The moon itself came alive. Hidden bases buried under its craters lit up. Massive cannons rotated and unleashed fire. The Council ship suddenly realized the moon was no passive rock. It was a fortress, Andi. Earth billions cheered as news spread. The Leviathan is real. The moon fights for us. Hope replaced terror, pride replaced despair. But the Council did not retreat. They sent a larger dreadnought forward, its hull gleaming with energy shields. It roared through human fire, blasting several frigates apart. The battle raged with brutal force. Admiral Carter watched the enemy advance, his voice steady. "Bring it closer," he ordered. The Leviathan shifted position. Its massive engines groaned, pulling the ship into range. The alien dreadnought fired, again tearing chunks from smaller human ships. But then Carter gave the order. "Release the hammer." From the Leviathan's belly, a weapon emerged, long kept secret even from many in the fleet. It was called the Solar Lance, a weapon that harnessed energy directly from the sun. The beam fired, blinding bright. A spear of light cut through the void straight into the alien dreadnought. The shields cracked, the hull tore apart. The dreadnought exploded in silence, fire spilling into space. Humanity had destroyed another Council giant. On Earth, people erupted in celebration. Strangers hugged in streets, soldiers cried with joy, children waved flags. For the first time, humanity was not just defending, it was striking back. But Carter did not smile. His voice was calm but heavy. "We are winning battles, not the war. They will come with more. They will come with everything." In the Council chamber, light years away, alien leaders hissed in fury. 2 dreadnoughts lost to humans? Unacceptable. They argued, some demanding immediate destruction, others warning caution. For the first time in centuries, the Council felt doubt. One younger alien, his voice low, said, "Perhaps humanity is not like the others. Perhaps their strength lies not in weapons but in spirit." His words were met with silence. Back near Earth, the Leviathan turned its guns toward the stars. Its shadow stretched across the ocean. Its lights glowed like fire. Humanity had revealed its might. Humanity had struck back. And though the battle was not over, the message was clear. The Council had underestimated the humans. They would never kneel, they would never break. The war had only begun, and Earth was no longer the hunted, it was the hunter. The wreckage of 2 mighty Council dreadnoughts floated in silence near Mars. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council had been wounded. The proud rulers of the stars had lost ships to a world they once called primitive. In the grand chamber of the Council, the alien leaders shouted in fury. Their scales shimmered with rage, claws scraped against the floor. "Unacceptable," one roared. 2 dreadnoughts lost to humans, a species that should have been erased in hours. The Council leader slammed his fist against the table. His voice echoed like thunder. "We will not allow this insult. Send reinforcements. Send everything." But not all agreed. A younger alien stood carefully, his voice trembling. "Perhaps caution is needed. The humans fight in ways we do not understand. Their unpredictability makes them dangerous." The older leaders laughed at him. "Dangerous? They are children throwing stones at giants." But the laughter felt weaker now. Shadows of doubt lingered in the chamber. Back in the Sol system, new fleets appeared at the edge of space. Dozens, then hundreds of alien ships. They poured in, like a flood. Their numbers blotted out the stars. Humanity's victory near Mars suddenly seemed fragile. Admiral James Carter received the report aboard the USS Leviathan. His officers' faces turned pale. "Sir, more than 100 warships incoming." Carter's jaw tightened. "So they bring the storm," he muttered. "Then we meet it head-on." Human fleets regrouped near the moon fortress. Orbital cannons powered up. Hidden bases on Earth prepared their weapons. Fighter pilots strapped in, ready for a battle few expected to survive. The alien armada advanced with precision, their commanders confident they would crush Earth's resistance once and for all. But Carter had a plan. Humans could not match numbers, but they could use cunning. "Bring the asteroids," he ordered. Near Jupiter, mining stations detonated charges, sending massive rocks drifting into the enemy's path. Council ships fired to break them apart, but hidden among the rocks were human mines. When the aliens destroyed the asteroids, the mines exploded, ripping through their formations. Several Council cruisers were destroyed instantly. Confusion spread through the armada. They tricked us again, one alien captain roared. On Earth, billions watched the battle unfold. Families huddled around screens. Soldiers prayed in silence. Children whispered, "Please win." Every moment carried the weight of the entire species, but the Council pressed forward, their numbers overwhelming. Human ships began to fall one after another. The USS Orion was torn apart. The Freedom swallowed in flames. Screams filled comms. Carter clenched his fists. "Hold the line," he commanded. "We cannot. Let them break through." The Leviathan fought like a beast of legend. Its solar lance fired again and again, tearing holes in enemy ranks. But the ship groaned under heavy fire. Its shields flickered, its hull cracked. Engineers shouted warnings. Carter ignored them. "Keep firing." On the moon, alien beams hammered the fortress. Craters exploded. Dust covered the stars. Yet the cannons kept firing, blasting alien ships out of the void. The Council grew desperate. Their commanders shouted, "Burn the planet, end this now." Their dreadnoughts charged toward Earth, preparing to unleash fire that would boil oceans and shatter cities. But humanity had one more secret. Years ago, scientists had decoded fragments of an ancient alien signal, a forgotten message left in ruins across the galaxy. It contained frequencies that could disrupt Council communications. Now that knowledge became a weapon. Carter's science officer activated the broadcast. Across space, strange tones echoed. Invisible waves jammed alien fleets. Their ships turned against each other, confused. Some even fired on allies by mistake. The Council commanders howled in rage. "What are they doing to us? Stop it!" But they could not. Earth's fleet seized the moment, striking hard. They destroyed dozens more alien ships. The void lit up with fire. Back in the Council chamber, panic spread. "Our fleets are faltering," one shouted. "Our dreadnoughts are being destroyed." The leader's face twisted with fury. "Then send the flagship," he hissed. A massive shadow began to move in deep space, larger than anything seen before. It was the Council's supreme vessel, a ship of fear. Known across the stars for burning empires into dust on Earth, Carter received the report. His officers' voices shook. "Admiral, the flagship is coming." Carter stared at the stars, his voice low but firm. Then the true war begins. The Council's desperation had driven them to unleash their greatest weapon, and humanity, though battered and bleeding, stood ready. The final clash was coming, and the fate of Earth would be decided in fire. The stars trembled as the Council's supreme flagship entered the Sol system. It was larger than any mountain on Earth, forged with black metal that swallowed light. Its weapons glowed like suns chained to its hull. Wherever this ship appeared, empires died. On Earth, silence fell. Screens across every city showed the massive shadow creeping closer. Families held each other. Soldiers prayed. Children whispered, "Is this the end?" In the command deck of the USS Leviathan, Admiral James Carter stood like a statue. His ship burned from battle, its shields nearly gone, but his eyes never wavered. "So, the Council sends their monster," he said softly. "Then this is where humanity makes its stand." The alien commander aboard the flagship sneered. His voice filled the void. "Humans, your defiance has been amusing, but now it ends. Your world will burn, your people will scream, and your name will vanish from the stars." Carter replied, calmly, "You should not have come here." Then he turned to his crew. "Signal every ship, every fighter, every soldier. Tell them, this is the final stand." Across the system, human ships formed ranks, battered frigates, scarred destroyers, the last survivors of the fleets. Even civilian freighters joined, armed with makeshift weapons. They knew this was not just war, it was survival. The flagship opened fire first, a beam of energy brighter. Then the sun streaked toward Earth. It tore through defenses, shattering satellites, splitting an asteroid in two. Panic erupted, but the Leviathan moved, absorbing the blast with its dying shields. The ship groaned, metal bending, but it held. "Return." "Fire!" Carter shouted. The solar lance unleashed its fury. The beam struck the flagship, shaking its shields. The Council commander laughed. "Is that all?" "Pathetic." He fired again, ripping two human destroyers apart. Hundreds of lives vanished in silence, but humans did not retreat. Fighters swarmed like hornets weaving between enemy guns. They carried nuclear warheads strapped to their hulls. Some pilots smiled through tears knowing they would never return. One after another, they crashed into the flagship's shields, detonating in blinding fire. On Earth, billions watched, tears filled eyes as they saw pilots give their lives. Their sacrifice became the fire that carried humanity forward. Carter clenched his fists. "They bleed. Keep pushing," he growled. The moon fortress fired its last salvo, giant cannons glowing red before shattering from the strain. The blasts struck the flagship, its shields flickering, cracks spreading across its surface. For the first time, the council commander's smile faded. Inside the council chamber, light years away, leaders stared in shock. Their fleets should be gone. Their world should be ash, one whispered. But the truth was undeniable. Humanity refused to die. The flagship roared, unleashing storms of plasma. Entire sections of space burned. Human ships exploded one after another. The Leviathan shuddered. Alarms screamed. "Admiral, we can't take much more." Carter's voice was steady. "We hold, we strike, we end this." Then came the final gamble. The Leviathan's engines flared, pushing the ship straight toward the flagship. Officers gasped. "Sir, that's suicide." Carter's eyes burned. "It's survival." As the Leviathan closed the distance, every remaining human ship opened fire. Missiles, beams, rail slugs, everything they had left. The flagship staggered, its shields tearing apart, explosions ripping. Across its hull, the council commander screamed, "No, this cannot be." But Carter was already at the final command. Solar lance, maximum charge. The weapon glowed brighter than the sun. Engineers shouted warnings. "The ship won't survive the shot." Carter replied, "Neither will they." The solar lance fired. The beam pierced the flagship's heart, ripping through its core. For a moment, time froze. Then the Council's supreme vessel exploded in a storm of fire. Its pieces scattered across the void like falling stars. The shockwave slammed into the Leviathan, tearing its hull. Alarms wailed, fire consumed sections of the ship. But it remained standing, scarred but unbroken. On Earth, cheers erupted like thunder. Crowds filled the streets, crying, shouting, embracing they had seen the impossible. Humanity had destroyed the Council's greatest weapon. In the council chamber, silence reigned. The mighty rulers of the stars had been defeated. Fear spread among them. The whispers began. "The humans cannot be stopped. They will never kneel." Back on the Leviathan, Carter stood on the burning bridge. His uniform torn, his face smeared with ash. He looked at the stars and whispered, "Earth stands free." His officers saluted, tears in their eyes, pride in their hearts. Humanity had fought the greatest battle in its history, and against all odds it had won. But Carter knew this was not the end. The Council still existed, their fleet still vast. But now the galaxy had seen the truth. Humans were not prey, they were predators. On distant worlds, alien species watched the battle. Some trembled, others whispered with hope. Perhaps the humans will fight for us too. And so as the smoke of war drifted across the stars, one thing was certain. Humanity had declared its place in the galaxy. They would never kneel, never bow, never break. The final stand had become the first. Victory